Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to nothing. Well, I mean, it's something, but we're gonna watch the first Spider-Man movie, like the first one from 2002, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Yes, indeed, starring the Columbia lady and also Sony. You don't see much anymore. I guess Sony just became Sony. Now it's just like Venom started with just Sony. So yes, and let me turn the volume down. The last thing I need is for like you to hear the audio from the movie like out of my earphones going into the microphone. That'd be horrible. So yeah, Spider-Man 2002. Marvel was going out of business. A lot of people don't remember that because they just know it as the giant conglomerate monster that is the MCU. But there was once a point in time when Marvel was never really cool. DC was for the longest time like the big boy on the block, and then until 2008 when Iron Man came out, then Marvel started to become like its own thing. But before then, Marvel was kind of always in the shadow. Although I guess people knew. I mean, obviously the Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, all the people that Marvel had to sell their properties out to Sony and Fox. I think Fox owns Fantastic Four, and I guess Sony owns. I don't know who owns X Men. I didn't. I watched the first one or two X Men movies, and I have not caught up. I did watch Logan though, but Ron Perkins. So yeah, Marvel was in deep financial straits, and they had to sell their main man Spider-Man. The repercussions of which are still being felt today because the MCU wants Spider-Man in the MCU, but Sony wants to do their own thing with Spider-Man because they own him, and all the other like everything that entails. Like it's not just Spider-Man; it's Spider-Man and everything that goes along with Spider-Man, like Venom. And I think they're doing a Kraven the Hunter movie that I hope it's like Tiger King. That would be amazing. That'd be wonderful. Because apparently, someone on Twitter was saying that a lot of people, when they do Kraven the Hunter, they like make him this badass, brooding guy. But apparently, even in like the original comics, he was a flamboyant Tiger King like character. So that'd be amazing. Everyone's all well, no one's into Tiger King anymore. But before the pandemic, everyone was into Tiger King. Or like the pandemic. No, it was before the pandemic. It was before the pandemic in the United States. Because it was like January 2020. In the before times. Remember those? Okay, I'm getting notifications on my phone. I don't know how casual this is supposed to be. Like, you guys are watching this, I presume. Or if you're just listening to this on the side. Sam Raimi! I have a bit to say about Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi, one of my favorite directors. I want to know. Spider-Man. A lot of people give Spider-Man flack for having the same backstory, but I guess for the first film iteration of Spider-Man, I guess this is appropriate enough that we explain it. But I love Sam Raimi. He's very good at writing the line between reality and like goofiness. Like he's very down to earth, but also at the same time he's okay with going to the goofiness, which is perfect for a superhero film. I think. Hey, there's Flash. I don't know if that's a character from the comics. Probably not. Betty Brant. She's in here somewhere, I think. I'm not sure. But yeah, Sam Raimi, perfect for a Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man is very much, his whole thing is he's a normal guy with a superhero side to him. He's not like Batman. I don't know if Sam Raimi would do a good Batman, because Batman's, very different. Or he wouldn't do like a good Green Lantern. But for Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's really good. Like The Quick and the Dead. I guess The Quick and the Dead's not all that goofy, but it's got some cinematography choices and stuff. Like whenever the clock tolls and it starts zooming in on the clock, and it's very like it pulls you out of the movie, but in a good way, I guess. I like Sam Raimi. I should watch Quick and the Dead for this. I have a lot of things to say about that movie. Beyond the fact that it was directed by Sam Raimi. Knock it off. That guy looks like he could be the same age. He could be the same age as those people. Why is he the authority? I guess he's like the TA, maybe. He sounds like he's a part of the group and he's been assigned that role. And he's like, yo, Flash Thompson, Oh, poor Peter again. I guess he's not really friend zoned yet. He gets friend zoned later on, but at the moment he's not even a friend. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I'm in up to Spider-Man shit posting groups, pizza posting on Facebook. I was about to delete the app, and then I found all these shit posting groups, and they're amazing. but they're rife with stills from these movies, and it's not just the memes that you know and love. They go off and they make their own. It's amazing. There's one that's about to come up, but it's one of them is the one. I'm something of a scientist myself. Forget it. Harry be brooding. Hi, Harry. Here we go. I love Willem Dafoe. Here it is. It's hilarious. Nanotechnology was like a big word in like 2002. A lot of people probably weren't aware of what nanotech was, and now it's like Iron Man is using it in his suit technology in 2018 Endgame Infinity War. Nanotechnology has followed the same pathway as Marvel films. He wants to adopt you. You're adopted, Harry. Harry. You're the chosen one. Look, they're talking about spiders. I would say that's foreshadowing, but it isn't really. I guess it kind of is. I mean, the name of the film is Spider-Man, so, I mean, it's no more of a foreshadowing than the fact that you know you're going into this expecting a Spider-Man, so. Like, kid on the right, such a dweeb. Suck on it, Flash. Filistadide. Kukulkania. Kukulkan. Okay, is that guy, like, change it up, man. Is that your only thing? Oh, what a dweeb. I'm just gonna knock into him every single time he takes a picture. Dude, John Magliova is he's such a dick in this movie. He's good at it. That's his name, right? John Magli. I know it's not Magliova. Magniani. I don't even know. Jerks. Oh, Spider Sense. It's hilarious thinking about like This was like the first like superhero movie, wasn't it? Well, like the first major one. Like you've had the bad ones from like the 80s and 90s, but this was like the first major, wasn't it? I was actually not in the country when this film came out. My father was on a business trip overseas, and we were gone. And when we came back, my second, third, fourth grade class, they had made me a booklet of all the stuff I had missed, and all the boys in the class made pictures of Spider-Man because I missed Spider-Man. So like this was the first major like superhero thing that people were introduced to on like a grand scale. This was like the first. Well, it wasn't the first blockbuster, but. Super spiders. Mary Jane can count. It's been missing for some time. Look at that web. Good job, Harry. You know how to turn on the ladies. You know the electron microscope is so large. It's the largest on the eastern seaboard. Do the Anthony Hopkins. I'm Mary Jane. Who even Kirsten Dunst went back and she read the comics, and she was saying in interviews, I think, she was all like, I was reading the comics and I didn't seem to be playing MJ. I seemed to be more like the other girl. She's talking about Gwen Stacy. And it's hilarious going back and watching. She very much is Gwen Stacy. I don't know if that was an oversight on Sam Raimi, or I wonder how that decision was made. Because, like I said, this was like the first major comic book property that people were introduced to. I doubt anyone would have like been like, oh, well, I mean, obviously there were people who noticed it, but nobody would have known like, oh, MJ, she's the classic Spider-Man girl. Wait, thanks. Ow, Charlie bit me. Yeah, that spider's name is Charlie. Ouch, Charlie. Look, it's even got the Spider-Man colors. This was another thing that a lot of people, I think even to this day, are like upset about. Oh, look, it's telling us it's changing its DNA code. Look at that. Foreshadowing. Look, he's going to become a new species of human. Look at that. Yeah, a lot of people to this day are upset that Sam Raimi's Spider-Man gave him like organic web shooters, as opposed to like in the comics and usually like the Tom Holland Spider-Man, he's got the web shooters. They're like actual machine shooters. Or I guess now they're Stark Tech, but a lot of people are upset by that. It didn't bother me at all. It didn't change much. It didn't change much of anything, and it just, when you're making a film and you're trying to be economical with your time, that's just a lot easier than explaining, oh, well, he went to the college and made web shooters, and oh, well, this is an actual web. It's something he creates. Dr. Strom. Isn't that a comic book name? Isn't he Dr. Strom? I know Slocum isn't. Is that Dennis Farina? Gentlemen, ladies. Yay! Uncle Ben. I really should have the Wikipedia page open like on another tab or something, so I could tell you who that actor is, because I can't remember his name. He's expensive though, because they brought him back in the second movie only as a mirage. Or was that would have been like star power. Trying to get the older people into the seats. Spider-Man 2. Oh, while I'm at it, I should probably turn my ringer off on my phone. Like I said, I don't know how casual these are supposed to be. Oh, Cliff Robertson? Yeah, no one knows who that is. Man. Not with that attitude. I don't know who I was thinking. His last well-known film appearances were as Uncle Ben. Oh, he appears in the third movie at some point, I guess. I was just injected with some radioactive toxins. Puberty. It's puberty, bro. I wish this was how puberty worked. My late teen, early adult life would have been vastly improved if I got superpowers one day. Ugh. Oh, look, that's a Sam Raimi shot right there. I love, one of my favorite things is auteur theory, and like watching an auteur's work, and like, watching somebody's, like Zack Snyder, watching all of his films and figuring out like what makes something, or what makes a filmmaker's style cross over from one film to another. The kind of thing that makes you say, "Oh, well, Wes Anderson has a particular style to him." But in Jojo Rabbit, there's that scene where Jojo's sitting against the wall and it like zooms in on his stomach and it opens up and you see the butterflies in his stomach. That's the kind of thing that makes you think, "Oh, that's a Wes Anderson shot." What is that doing in Jojo Rabbit? I love Willem Dafoe. I would watch like The Lighthouse and commentate over that, but I wouldn't be commentating much. I'd just be watching it. Now, does that turn him into the Green Goblin? I can't remember. It's been so long since I've seen this. I've gone back and I've watched Spider-Man 2 recently, but it's been quite some time since I've seen the first one. And I think I saw the third one in theaters, and that was the last time I watched that one. Part of this is so I can reevaluate these. So I'm sure Spider-Man 3 is not as bad as, well, it's probably still bad, but like in a schlocky sense that I can enjoy it. When I was younger, I was just like, what is this? That nod. Does that what he drank turn him into Green Goblin, or does this gas turn him into Green Goblin? Or does the whole process turn him into Green Goblin? Just recently, I had like a week-long bout with like anxiety. And like that was my heartbeat right there for like a week. Oh my god. Norman? See, like, I've seen that actor in places too. What's his name? Dr. Strom? It's like, this is very Sam Raimi. Those zoom-ins. Not the formula. It's the Krabby Patty formula. M. Night Shyamalan was once considered to direct this. And Ang Lee, who went on to do The Incredible Hulk. Yeah, I don't... Oh, there's a... there's another meme. I'm just pointing out all the memes. Tim Burton. That would have been interesting. That would have been like the Snyder. The Snyder DC universe. Well, except Zack Snyder is just dark and brooding, and that's it. Tim Burton's like dark and brooding, but also like dark comedy. Yeah. Big change. It's so goofy. Like, I know a lot of people, you can have different theories about, like, Tobey Maguire as a good Spider-Man, but for the Spider-Man they were going for, like, kind of goofy, Tobey Maguire really fits that bill. He's just a very goofy actor at this point in time. I don't know if he still is. I haven't seen anything with him lately. Okay. Just stand in your window and, like, let her know. Now, is it just instinctual? Like, he didn't just decide to do that, did he? He's just, oh, you know what? I think I can do this. Let me just run on the walls. Or did his body just instinctively know, oh, I can do that? Ooh. Yeah, I'm sure you remember something about that. He was in puberty when Jesus was running around. That was what kind of argument was that by her dad? No one's stopping you from going to school. Get your education. This is actually really cool to see. I've been to New York for a week since I wasn't in New York for a week on vacation. So this is actually cool to see. I'm guessing this is Queens. Assuming from Civil War, because Captain America's from Brooklyn. Peter Parker's from Queens. Certainly they didn't change that. Or not. Go Wildcats, go, go, go Wildcats. That's Malcolm in the Middle. Wildcats, we got spirit. Wildcats, we got what? What? We got spirit. Oh my god, maybe this is the same universe as Malcolm in the Middle. Oh, it was one hell of a dream. He seems rather cool. He doesn't seem all that bothered. Like, does this happen often? His dad's just laying on the floor when he shows up. Evil. Evil! I killed him. Uh-oh. Hey, it's the infamous cafeteria scene. Now, was this Kirsten Dunst's first role? Well, certainly not. She was super young in Memoirs of or Interview with a Vampire. But this was definitely not her first acting role. I'm not saying that for any I'm not saying she's a bad actress or anything, but I'm just pointing that out. Because I don't even know, was this Tobey Maguire? I don't even know. I would like to add some sort of, like, intellectual, like, conversation about, like, histories of the actors involved when I watch these. I really should have gone through and, like, done, like, a rough... Uh-oh. A rough, like, skim of the wiki. Uh-oh. Yeah, Tobey Maguire. Tobias Vincent Maguire. How on earth are you gonna have a name like Tobias? Tobias Maguire. I mean, I know that's not all that marketable, but it's badass. How are you gonna be Toby? Oh, teenagers. Is this the I wouldn't want to fight myself either? Oh! Whoa, this is how Spider Sense works. Yo. Okay, you know what? People, I'm not at all a Zack Snyder apologist, but people are giving him crap for doing the slow-mo sesame seed. I mean, Sam Raimi just did the slow-mo loogie ball, spitball, so, I mean... Maybe a little slack is in order. Whoa. Come on, Flash. Oh. That was a good dodge. Whoa! How did he do that? Get him, John! Whee! Those kids got out of the way real quick. Like, if I was seeing, like, Tobey Maguire fighting somebody, I'd be like, no, I don't have to move. He ain't going anywhere. Get it? Amazing Spider-Man? Get it? No. James Franco. Can we just talk about how young he is in this? He's so young. Baskin Robbins. Oh. That means he's putting two and two together. It's the language of cinema, my friends. Look, he's figuring it out. He's not even having to say anything. Oh, boy. See, that makes it seem like a physical attribute that he has, but in Spider-Man 2, he can't climb walls. So what, do those all, like, retract? I don't know, we're not watching Spider-Man 2. I shouldn't be commenting as such. Dude, if I woke up and I did this one day, I'd be, like, freaking... Oh my god. Whoa. I like how he's not freaked out. There's a lot of times when characters get powers and they like get freaked out by them. I think a lot of more people would be like, "Oh, this is awesome." I think more people would be doing shit like this. I'm like, "What's become of me?" Oh, here we get the Shazam reference. So I guess technically DC and Marvel are in the same universe? Is that crane moving, or are they literally just... Oh, they're just keeping that... Watch, he does the actual thing. He does the right hand signal, but he like does it on the side, and for some reason it doesn't work. There's Shazam. That one. See, he does it that way. Shouldn't that work? Why does he have to have his hand under like that? It should be fine if he's doing the rock and roll devil horns. Who was operating crane? That is a safety hazard. They're just holding that fan thing just up there. This is bullcrap. I guess in 2002, OSHA wasn't doing much. OSHA couldn't be bothered. Traffic is fun! I just saw the sign. Tally-ho! What a nerd. Don't worry, traffic is fun. Mary Jane. Mary Jane, be my neighbor. Mary Jane traditionally, I hate to sound like a nerd after having called Tobey Maguire a nerd, but traditionally in the comics, Mary Jane's a badass. Michelangelo! Are they trying to make it seem like he's growing apart from his aunt and uncle? Because I was a very longing... Oh man, I could have had dinner with them. But they don't seem to be in a bad spot. Get in here, little girl. Is that like a stepfather? Because that's a weird thing for a dad to call his daughter. It started with a whisper. Pretty well. He's got a black stomach. No. He's got to get that Stark Industries internship. Yeah, try him. Be an actress. Let Bruce Campbell be the doorman. See, for the kind of Peter Parker they're trying to imagine as the super dweeby sort of nerd. Like, Toby's on fire right now. He's a flaming nerd at the moment. LOVE. Broadway is dark tonight. A little bit weaker than it used to be. I hit puberty. Oh, he also hunches. It's the hunch. Oh! Oh! Checking you out. Peter should, like, jump out and be like, "Arr!" Get it? She wants to be an actress because she's putting on an act all the time. Get it? Get it? Oh, pretty... Oh. Pretty tight, huh? All the innuendos. We got a tight car. We got the biggest cylindrical object on the eastern seaboard. Yeah, I want a cool car, too. Is that an Austin Healey? Three minutes in the ring. Colorful characters a must. That was Sam Raimi. Biology lecture. Symbol? Well, you gotta have a symbol if you're a superhero. We know, I don't know if they reference it in this movie, but in the second movie, I know he reads comic books. You'd think he would, like, consult them. Well, you know what? I guess that's not possible. Because in the Sony Marvel universe, all that exists is Spider-Man. And he can't be looking at his own comics. He picks up a copy of Spider-Man. Oh, interesting. Ultimate Spider-Man. The only other they could have done, no, Fantastic Four is Fox. All Marvel has, I think, is the Spider-Man. That's why Aunt May gives up his comic books in the second movie, so that we never see them. We never see that they're they're either bootlegs of, like, non-existent comic books or Spider-Man comics. That would make sense. Aunt May, it's called puberty. Come on now. I know you were having puberty during the Justinian plague, but damn, girl, don't forget. Uh-oh, stability is questioned. I would say that's foreshadowing, but, I mean, it was foreshadowing for, like, a second. And even then, we kind of already knew he was off his rocker. He murdered him! He murdered a man! That was oddly specific. Uncle Ben just trying to be a good dad. That's what gets him killed. The moral of the story is you can't trust the system, but also don't try. Don't try to be a good father figure. It'll get you killed. LSD, is it drug related? Not exactly. Wink to the audience. Dude, that hit me so much differently. When I was a kid, that was a throwaway line. Now that I've gone through those years and I've become the person I'm probably going to be for the rest of my life, that hit hard. That hit me different. Oh, God. He said it. They said it, and then it became like a meme. So when the MCU came around, they couldn't say those words. Tom Holland gives the talk in Civil War. When you have the kind of powers that I have, and you can help people and you don't, then that's on you. That's basically the same thing, but not. Go west, heading west, touring west. LOL. I could tell you whether or not I've been there, but I don't even know what building that is. Oh yeah! Hang on, I need to double check if that really is, hang on. Oh, Octavia Spencer was supposed to be played by... Who's that? She was supposed to be played by Tig Notaro. That's cool. Okay, that is Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. Slap it to a Slim Jim. That is also Bruce Campbell. Who I guess he moves up in the world? She's been in stuff too. Oh, that's Octavia Spencer! Tig Notaro was supposed to have that role right there. See, I'm learning things. Ding, ding, ding. Rod Perkins, the guy at the opening credits who I just said his name out randomly, that is Dr. Strom, who I recognize from The Prestige, because I love that movie. Also, yes, Dr. Strom is an actual comic book villain at some point. Human Spider! Dude, who would have thought Bruce Campbell came up with the name? No one's gonna care when you're walking out with $3,000. Cry me a river of blood. Yes. Look, the human spider, he's quarantining. Or he's not quarantining, he's masking up. This is the opposite of quarantining. File under D for dead. They didn't sign me up for this. It's a good thing they had that scene where he signs his life away. You ain't going nowhere. Yeah. Playtime! How terrifying would that be in real life if Randy Savage wanted you for 3 minutes of playtime? Oh, that's not a timely joke. Or it's not a timeless joke. Oh shit. Come on, human spider. Smash him. What is this, the Hulk? Was that an Ang Lee rewrite that made it to the final script? Aw, shit. Did they really just let him go after, like, anybody who comes off the street? They're like, kill him. Now, I know he doesn't get the money, but why doesn't he just ride this? Like, just stay a professional wrestler. All these people in this place know you now. Clearly they're involved. Like, they'd recognize you, wouldn't they? No need to get pissy. That's not a meme. When Peter says it later, then it becomes the meme. Oh, it's that guy. Put the lotion in the basket. He stole the gate? He's a citizen! The fuck is... Boom, bitch! Get out the way. There you go. Good job, Toby. Good job, Peter. Kick his ass. That cop was like, what the fuck? How are you gonna expect a freaking civilian to get in the way of a criminal with a gun? New York cops are hardcore, I guess. Wow! Uncle Ben? It's a good thing that Tom Holland Spider-Man, they didn't have an Uncle Ben. There's no way that, like, you could convince me that any old man is going to be married to Marissa Tomei. Way out of their league. Although, judging from Far From Home, I guess Happy is going to be his Uncle Ben. Hulk smash! Time for revenge! TikTok, no need to use your hands anymore. Just in time. I do love the camera swaying back and forth and all the camera movements. That's a very Sam Raimi I mean, I know this is all computer generated, but nevertheless. Whoa! Like a very free-flowing camera. It reminds me a lot of, you know, the Evil Dead camera shot. You know, where it's close to the ground and you're like the demon running around. That is so not, like, if I were a cinematographer or a director, that'd so not be my... I would have, like, still shots, like, all the time. Some dolly shots. Sam Raimi, he might as well have his camera mounted on, like, an RC... like an RC car. I would be interested to find out if, I need to check on the special features, like the making of, because I would love to see, like, how much of this is actual, like, practical. I rewatched The Mummy from 1999, and a lot of that is practical sets and actors, and it's great. There's still a lot of schlocky CGI, but... Oh, no. Get a unit to the rear. More innuendos. Warriors! Come out to play! I do like how he's scared, more scared of the Spider-Man than he is the cops. You've got a gun, just start shooting. So I come in with my guns, blaze. What? Did you drop the gun? No, I guess he's got... you have to make that edit so that we know that Peter has figured it out. But there's his gun! Why'd he put it away? Like, we recognize that guy as an audience. That was kind of a gratuitous, like, oh, it's that guy shot. But I guess you have to make it so that we know that Peter recognizes him. Maybe. It was a bit gratuitous. Do you? I've played enough Spider-Man PS4. I know that's not the case. Where'd he go? Now, this was in 2002. I wonder when filming began. If it was after 9/11? Or if they had to, like, digitally like, etch out the World Trade Centers. Peter had to tell her? Didn't anyone call her, like, notify the next of kin? Quest. Proving Grounds bunker. Someone's about to use it as Proving Grounds right about now. Sorry about my chair. It's squeaky. Unless I want it... Unless I'm trying to demonstrate that it is. In which case it's not squeaky at all. Captain King Curtis. She thinks that she's the queen, and we're the sorry people. Oh my god, a wife swap commentary? Oh. Whee! Like, they're using this for military aircraft? But, like, what the fuck is that thing supposed to do? That was an interesting cut. Interesting fade. Like, what was that machine? Like, is it just supposed to be, like, make beefy boys float? Like, at least Norman Osborn's glider, you actually understand, like, it's a military-grade attack vehicle that's low profile and probably can avoid radar, but what the fuck was that thing that Quest was building? The guy just woke up. I want to make some flying beefy boys. Congratulations, graduates. Suck on that, Flash. I just want you to know your car was not all that tight. Oh! You're adopted, Harry. You're so distant, Peter. Aww. Has he not cried at all since Uncle Ben died? And he had to wait until graduation day? You do too much. You're not Superman, you know. Superman undercase. You can't put it uppercase because that's a property. Superman just could be just any Superman. Technically, you talked to him a little bit when he was on the ground dying. Technically, that was the last thing you said. I've got my phone and I'm wanting to fidget with my little pop grip and do that, but I've got a microphone. I can't be doing that. It's difficult not to fidget. Just put my phone down. Toby, you got that, like, snot thing right there, man. Ugh. With great power comes great responsibility. I'm shocked he didn't, like, write it down somewhere to, like, so that we knew as an audience. Oh, yeah, remember that? Oh. But that's... well... It's been a while since I've tasted crow. It's not all that appetizing. Okay, never mind. The audience is stupid. Dude, look at those old potato chip bags. Oh my god. Masked man. Oh. Oh man. Just wait until we get Spider-Women. Oh. Oh, look, it was a female robber. I never noticed that before. So progressive. Freaky Lou. He stinks. He ran by me the other day. I smelled him. Look, he's even leaving calling cards. I think she's an actress. I think she's a notable person. Kurt Cobain! Wait, so in the second movie, that Asian lady who starts singing the Spider-Man song, did she hear it from him and she started singing it? Or did she make it her own and it's copyright infringement? I love J.K. Simmons. I had to think about his name because I wanted to call him J. Jonah Jameson. U.S. AIDS record. That's Betty Brant, I believe. How good is J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson? We've had three Spider-Man, and four J. Jonah Jamesons. All of them have been played by J.K. Simmons. Was he in the Amazing Spider-Man films? I never watched those. But he was in the Raimi trilogy. He's in the MCU trilogy now. And he was in the PS4 games. Moon Dance Diner. God, I miss New York so much. I spent like a week there and already it's in my mind constantly still. And that was like 2 years ago. I want an autograph. I say at the theater. I've already begged. Miss Watson! Did she steal the $6? Girl, you gotta scrap by if you want to make it in New York. Just wait, in 2020, you're going to be wishing you had that waitressing job because you won't be getting a job anywhere else. Okay, if my name were Peter and someone was calling me Pete, like as a nickname, I'd be like, no, you got to stop that right now. Petey, maybe. No, Pete, that's a weird name. Don't tell Harry. You hear that, guys? Don't tell Harry. Harry! You're a wizard, Harry. Five new contracts. Storm and Norman. Don't tell Norman. Don't tell Harry. Well, don't tell Norman either, but... Saving people. Ooh. I need to know who's siring my child, my grandchild. Canary. Oh! He could have just done this back when he was the human Spider. 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 Woo! Surprise! Like, how much of this is CGI body and how much of it is a stunt double in a green suit? I would very much like to know. And I don't know why I'm asking nobody right now, because I've got the Blu-rays. I can look at the special features. Sit down. What did he call him? Fanaticus? The subtitles did not mention what he said. He said like Fanaticus. He doesn't want to give him health insurance, dental. I'm just freelancing. Okay, maybe that's not Betty Brant. Who the fuck is that? She's doing everything she can not to say her name. I'm a photographer. Well, obviously. I gotta blow my nose. I can't do that on camera. No one needs to be hearing that. Ugh. I guess I could just mute my mic. Are stuck! Blood rise high! What? Your sanity? Oh, you don't want to do that. I know what happens at the World Unity Festival. You're out in the middle of the street. You're out. Yes, you are Poseidon. Oh my god, Macy Gray? This is 2002. Holy shit. I love it. Early 2000s, yo. Yeah! She's singing a song nobody recognizes. I can bear you by and I shake. Trying to walk away and I stumble. Moved to Carolina, I said, and no one over. Oh, look, she's appropriating the Japanese culture. How dare she? Because that's in mourning. Oh. I think he loves green now, buddy. I don't know if he wants his dad to think you're pretty. Maybe that's the point. Yo, Petey. Why was he uncomfortable? Oh, Harry. Oh, he's coming, all right. Cup noodles! Singular? Good lord. Like, were I to direct movies, I would make sure I put nothing in them that would date it, like, immediately. Because, like, by 2006, I don't think anyone knew who Macy Gray was. Prudential, Samsung. Those are still companies. Terminix is also a company still. Singular is most definitely not a company. I mean, technically, I guess it is, but it was bought out. See, that looks like a practical set. Stan Lee! You've got 3 options: fight, flight, or freeze, and those 2 were very good at freezing. Oh, you know what? There is some stock in having Mary Jane be like this instead of having a Gwen Stacy. Because a lot of comic book people might think that right now is the death of Gwen Stacy when Spider-Man does what he's about to do. That was a very Sam Raimi thing, by the way. Oh, that's scary. Oh, I guess I need to point out that cup noodles are also still a company. Freeze! That looked like a practical set. Look at the kid! He had his arms wide open! Like he was ascending into the other realm. Did you see him? He was like, take me. That was one punch. Oh, I guess he did knock you off your glider, too. Oh my god. I'm going to assume Souvenir Photo is not in business any longer. I'm just not gonna point out the Jamaican blimp. Oh, the kangaroo for Australia. Where's the Nutcracker from? Is that Germany? Oh, this is sexy. It reminds me of that one, the sex porno for Spider-Man, Attack of the Green Goblin, spelled Obblin. That was also a very goofy thing. We'll meet again! See, right here, if she was Gwen Stacy, a lot of people would have been like, oh, it's the death of Gwen Stacy, she's gonna die. I don't know, I'm reading very much into this. Look at the banana. I'm coughing. Whee! Here's the weird shot where, like, Spider-Man, he's like a statue. It's so weird. Every time I see that, it's such a weird shot. St. Patrick's. I'm Spider-Man, baby. Whee! Oh, I've never noticed that sound effect. You actually heard him stomping on the windows. You know, considering this is 2002, I'm kind of surprised that the cell phone technology isn't outrageous. Like, that's a decent cellular device that Harry's using. It's not like a giant, like, brick. I know that's more of an 80s thing, but still. Oh, it's Peter of the couch. Why is he sitting like that? I know it's a meme, but still. That's a weird way for someone to sit. He's got his feet up. He's got his shoes up on the chair. Excuse me. I've been talking for an hour. Did he at least ask him? I think you owe it enough to ask, even if he wasn't making the move. Looked like a goblin. Harry apparently did not read into that or think that was a weird thing to say at all. Maker's Mark! I know that from Red Letter Media. Jay brought it during a Halloween episode, and they had to stop the episode because they got so drunk. Don't play the innocent? That's a weird way of putting it. Dude, this is like Tom Hardy playing Venom. I love Willem Dafoe. Ah! Ah! Look at him, he's like prance walking. He's like prancing. Spider-Man. Wait, why was the image in the mirror corrected? Well, shouldn't it be reversed? I know there's an audience who needs to be able to read it, but still. You drank the water. What performance did it enhance? It just gave him a split personality. But he hasn't changed physically, has he? All it did was change his mind. I love Willem Dafoe. Is that Elaine Bennis? Hey, it's the 10 the 10 Iron building, but now it's the Daily Bugle. It's libel. In print, it's libel. I love that. What? I will, for as dickish as J. Jonah Jameson is, at least he's got the conviction. He wasn't going to slap Peter Parker. I don't know what mask Peter made for that suit, but damn it, it is not worth the material. Did that sign just say Silicon Alley? That was a very wonky, like, scene. Like, to get to this point. Not really. Not when we're talking about someone saving people and the other murdering people who don't necessarily deserve it. Dude, this is the Zack Snyder. He watched this. Sam Raimi read Watchmen, and then Zack Snyder read Watchmen, and then saw this movie, and that's why the DCEU is a thing. Check it. Check what? I was about to snap. Exceptional. Spiders are not bugs. But it's a metaphor. Well, a simile. I think Norman's been reading some comic books too. The Daily Bugle, extra, extra. Read all about it. Who's they? That's bullshit. That's J. Jonah Jameson calling for Spider-Man's arrest. No one else. Peter should know that. This is like the opposite of the DCEU, where like everyone was upset with Spider-Man for no reason. Now everyone's upset with Spider-Man for no reason. But like it's J. Jonah Jameson who's upset with him. Like he should know. The Daily Bugle is not nonpartisan journalism. Did you tell them that you were in an interview with the vampire? Cheeseburger, cheeseburger. Fuck Harry. And not literally. You have no idea, like, how interested, like, most guys would be in a woman who are like, oh, I've got this super rich date, but I want a cheeseburger instead. And you're like, oh. Miss Watson. Look at that. She is just teeming with... Look at her. Oh, look. Oh! That eyebrow. She wants some Petey. Tiger. Oh my god. Hey, Tiger, that's become... Was that a thing in the comics, or did it start with this? Because they say Tiger as well. I think in the wiki page... like, that's her signature line is Tiger. No, in the game. In PS4 Spider-Man. Everyone has, like, their signature line, and she's like, go get him, Tiger. Dude, this is like Star Trek. They got rape gangs. Oh my god. I've got to say, 2018 New York is a lot safer than 2002 fake movie New York. Oh, look, he was so quick. He didn't care about putting his mask on. He just wanted to get fast and help Mary Jane. That's how much he loves her. Did he just know that there was not going to be a light on him and he'd be encased in shadows there? He just stopped, like he knew. Hey, we've got to make an iconic movie moment. There's like, why is he so self-deprecating? There was no setup for that except for the Daily Bugle, J. Jonah Jameson himself saying, "Oh, everyone hates Spider-Man." There was no build-up to that moment when he was like, "Oh, everyone hates me." And I'm fairly certain that doesn't come up again, because when he's later on, the city of New York is like, "We got you, Spidey." Look, it's the Spider-Man kiss. Was this in the comics? Or was this like Sam Raimi? Like, oh yeah. Look at her digging her nose into his chin like that. I cannot... I'm just gonna say, I can't... Oh, that was a weird... Why did they slow-mo like that? That was weird. Maybe this is Zack Snyder. I find it hard to believe that Peter Parker never kissed a girl before, and the first kiss he has leaves the girl like hopping up and down. Oh, it's so good. This happens in the second movie. Like Sam Raimi, it's always about burning buildings. Like, it never gets any different. Like, Spider-Man will just he'll always be pulling people out of burning buildings. See, nobody hates him now. He's all like, oh, fuck Spider-Man. He attacked J. Jonah Jameson. Like, no one hates him. But for some reason, Peter thinks that everyone does. J. Jonah Jameson does. I like how we know that he's going back. Well, we don't know that now if we're watching this for the first time. But he ends up going back into the building. So it's not like they have him a scene with him in there twice, you know? Under what charges? Whee! See, we have this scene coming up, so Sam Raimi was like, you know what, we probably don't need to see him do this a second time. So the first time we just had the tension, air quotes, tension, because it's Spider-Man, he's not going to die. They probably could have hired a better actor to cry outside, though. Oh, no! Gobby. Gobby. Dobby! There's a Harry and a Dobby. Yo, The Matrix came out like, what, 2-3 years before this? I guarantee you Sam Raimi had just watched The Matrix and was like, yo, Spidey. Oh no, that zoom in. Oh no! Matrix. I can't get onto Sam Raimi for that. Everybody was doing bullet time in the early mid-2000s. Like, that's the second fight that has had no consequence whatsoever. Like, it literally just existed to have action in the movie. There was no point to that. Except, I guess, to make Green Goblin and Peter not like one another. That work was murder, so I figured I'd bring it back to you in the form of a fruitcake. Moida! Apparently, you can have, like, good fruitcake, but you have to, like, sit it and booze in your closet for, like, 6 months. Peter, all you had to do was not launch yourself into the wall like that. Peter. Like, this scene has more tension in it than frickin' any of the fight scenes that we've seen. I do appreciate how tame they were. They didn't have it go boo. It was just like a tiny... They didn't make it like echo chamber. Oh, that's that brain performance enhancers. Disorder and confusion everywhere. Ah, it's a joke, get it? Peter would never beat up an old lady for cranberry sauce. Although, as somebody who works in retail, I can tell you that people have nearly come to blows trying to get cranberry sauce because the dumbasses won't buy it ahead of time and they wait until the frick day before Thanksgiving. Oh, Aunt May, you about to get yourself some. Look at that. Willem Dafoe he's a great actor, but he just has this, like, sexual, like, creepiness. That's probably why he was an Antichrist. Willem Dafoe has what I'm going to call intoxicating virility. Like, ooh. I need to hone that. I don't need to name that. That's not the final product. It would have been more believable had you said the old lady you beat with the stick had a gun on her. Is this the pump and dump scene? Doesn't she say, when he comes back, doesn't she say, way to stand up for me? And he did. What more would he have done? Like, punched his dad? He did! He did stick up for you. He was like, you're wrong about her. They could have done a lot better with the Green Goblin from a character perspective. They should have done more. Instead of having two gratuitous fight scenes, they should have had scenes where Norman was bonding with Peter as like a father figure. Because then that would further pit Harry against Peter, which would set up the second film. Or maybe the third film. I don't remember which one Harry becomes Green Goblin. I think it's the third one. Because that's where the conflict should be. It should be Norman Osborn having to decide whether or not his affections for Toby, for Peter, or getting rid of Spider-Man. Religious imagery! This is Zack Snyder's film! It's got it has strange slow-mo sequences. It's got religious imagery. Spider-Man kills a man. This is the Zack Snyder blueprint. Peter's like, oh god, she saw the Mothman. Oh my god. Thank you for telling the audience. We already knew that, Peter. A lot of people, when stuff like that happens, a lot of people say that, like, the screenwriters, they think the audience is stupid. It could just be the screenwriter has low confidence in their own abilities to explain things. It could be that it's not so much they think the audience is stupid as much as they're not convinced that they've done a good enough job explaining things to the audience. Both of which are not good, but a lot of people are quick to say, oh, well, they just think the audience is stupid. It could just be the screenwriter, whoever they are, was like, oh, well, we didn't convey it well enough by having the fucking Green Goblin tell Norman to go and kill his family. After we already knew that he figured out who he was. Why, of course! You met her once at Thanksgiving? Oh, well, they were neighbors. Never mind. They knew each other. And she calls her Aunt May. So they were close. Oh, she's sneaky! I want to hear about how you want to bone Spider-Man. Who among us doesn't want to? Him. Spider-Man. I'm his photographer. Oh, I told you, see? Oh. Like, she's totally fangirling here, but if, like, I had been saved twice by Jessica Drew's Spider-Woman, I'd be, like, in the same boat. I'd be like, I think I'm in love with her. I haven't even seen her face. Or if, like, Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider. Oh. I'd be running into trouble to try to get saved. I'd be staging shit. I've got a superhero stalker. Here, let me go and ensconce myself in the rape gangs. This is very much when people complain about MJ, Gwen Stacy. This is very much not. This is very much Gwen Stacy. MJ would not be pining over a man. MJ would be busy with like her band or some shit. Or like she'd be like, "Fuck Harry, get out of here. I'm gonna go get me some Spider-Man." She's tracking him down. She would be the one who would be like levying herself in like the gang life, trying to put herself in danger. Gwen Stacy would be the, oh, Spider-Man. Wait, what is that book? Time warps? Black holes and time warps. Okay. I thought it was something like, I thought it was a symbolic thing. Look at that on the left. There's like an Aquaman beast monster. What is that mask of? That's like a fish man. But I've seen it before in like movies somewhere. Daddy. I had a play date with my alternate personality. No, she's in love with Spider-Man. Dumbass. I don't know if you can love anybody in the 4th grade, but definitely like. Go for the heart. It's strange that James Franco is an actor now in 2002, and The Room came out in 2004. But like he's now the Tommy Wiseau, and that all happened like after he became an actor. If that makes any sense whatsoever, like he's perfect for the role, but he was already acting before the role. Okay, so in the subtitles they capitalized the S. That's not factually accurate because 1, that's a different universe, and 2, that's a copyright infringement. The girl next door's not the girl next door. The girl next door. The girl next door. She's the only girl I'd fight crime for. Is he? She's referencing all those experiments he did in his room and he locked the door. Aunt May, do I really need to introduce her to my life of autoerotic asphyxiation? PETA! The girl next door! She said to sing it at the beat. No. I also need to point out this movie is 2 hours. The early 2000s, it was still weird, wasn't it, to have a 2-hour movie? That was still around like the normal was like an hour and a half. Oh, that was like late 90s. Titanic came out and like the rules changed as far as movie length. And telescope length. After all, in this film, we've seen the largest telescope on the eastern seaboard. Or is it a microscope? I'm sorry. That's what you call a callback. Is that the Brooklyn Bridge? No. I don't think so. It doesn't have the walkway in the middle. Is that the Williamsburg Bridge? The spider went up the water spout. I like how we went from like hardcore, like terrifying religious imagery, and all of a sudden we're getting like imagery of like children's nursery rhymes. Yeah, I think that's the Williamsburg Bridge, because the Manhattan Bridge is wider than that, isn't it? I don't know. I've been to New York for a week. I'm not an authority. I'm sure Wikipedia would tell me. Ahaha. Queensboro Bridge. Okay. I wouldn't have even been able to tell you. I only know Brooklyn, Manhattan, and Williamsburg. I thought you all hated him. Okay, so technically, shouldn't he go for Mary Jane first? Because she would be easier to, like, string up, and then he could focus all of his attention on the tram car. But I think he gets the car... Oh, okay, no, he's doing the right thing. See, he's a genius. See, if this were the DCEU and this were Spider-Man, he wouldn't save them both like Spider-Man can and should do. He'd be like, fuck Earth, or whatever he said. Fuck humanity. Who said that? That was Aquaman, maybe. Fuck humans. Oh my god, that's where Cats took place. I think that was on the River Thames, never mind. Macavity. I got my superhero stalker. I don't think you can do both. You're like halfway there, just do it. Yeah, that was not Kirsten Dunst. Oh my god, that sound effect was Roller Coaster Tycoon! I swear to god! That was the same stock effect from Roller Coaster Tycoon. I am not even shitting you. Well, that got her down there fast. I thought you guys hated Spider-Man. In Peter's mind, you all hated him. When in fact, only J. Jonah Jameson did. Oh, remember those? Those will come in, you need to know that for later. This was a big scene in post 9/11 New York. See, like that seems like it was supposed to be a payoff for that whole arc where, oh, everyone hates Spider-Man. But there literally was no arc. To the knowledgeable observer, you know that the only person who hated him was J. Jonah Jameson. It's not like Peter was going around and... There was that one scene with the fire, and even that was weak. If they were going to have an arc featuring, like, people hating on Spider-Man, they should have, like, explored that a bit. See, and they paid it... They introduced it, they paid it off, but they never developed it. This is also a very Evil Dead locale. I'm in the business of misery, let's take from the top. Do. Toby is a very good get beat up actor. And I like how they don't have music to, like, make it more visceral. He's like Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is really good at being tortured. Citing The Empire Strikes Back and The Temple of Doom. I remember hearing that as a kid, and like it was so weird hearing that. That's a bad word. Ew. Oh, that happens at Spider-Man 2, doesn't it? Peter has to hold up the wall to save MJ. Me who? Willem Dafoe? But not you. You literally just tried to kill him. They never really established Superman's super strength. But at least I guess they established his spidey senses for this scene right here, because this would be a very good time to pay that off. You have and was? Oh. If only they'd been given a PG-13 rating. Oh, shit. Everyone's telling don't tell Harry. So I'm gonna be able to tell him anything soon. I don't know if that was supposed to mean anything. Don't tell Harry, because MJ said don't tell Harry. If that was supposed to be a symbol. I guarantee, I think we've seen that building face like 3 times. I'm not even joking. James Franco was so young. I dressed him up, your dad, in swaddling cloths. Everyone's dying. Uncle Ben, Harry's dad. Mary Jane, you better watch out. Uncle Ben was also stolen from Peter, so... That sounds like a setup for a future film. Oh, that's awkward. Why won't you lie to me? Another shot nearly reminiscent of Batman v Superman. Zack Snyder must have really loved this movie. But that's what superheroes do, buddy. And I ain't talking about my life. Oh. Spider-Man. Oh, it's the Friend Zone Manifesto. Wait for the next film. Oh. Oh. I think I missed something. I thought he was friend zoned the whole second movie. Oh, she's gonna recognize that kid. No, she won't, because that was upside down. This is a right side up kiss. It's different. Gravity rules. He's so mysterious. How serious is this relationship? I thought she meant like they should start dating. Oh, he friend zones her! Snap! Damn! Oh, no wonder she friend zones him back so hard in the second movie. Because he did it to her first. Shit, dog. Shit. Oh, the music got all sinister, too. To be fair, if I were a superhero, I wouldn't be getting with, like, non-superhero people. I'd be getting on with, like, Black Cat and shit. Like other superheroes. Well, no, because if this MJ was actual MJ from the comics, that'd be fine. Because she'd be like, Green Goblin, bitch, get over here. She'd tear his ass up. Whee! Oh, this looks so bad in 2021. Oh, man. Okay, it doesn't look too bad. It's not horrible. It is definitely dated. Oh, post 9/11. Gotta get the American flag in there. It says American is macaroni and cheese, that Spider-Man. Alright, that was the first Spider-Man movie. Literally. Manganiello. Yeah. Yeah, Miss Brant, Elizabeth Banks. They never said her name, but there it is, Miss Brant. I think they say in the second one. Macy Gray as herself. Man, that'd be a shame if they introduced Macy Gray and it was not Macy Gray. That would suck. Stunt coordinator, stunt performers. Look at how small. You know what? Here, let's stop. Well, let's not stop, but let's wait and see how much like the special effects. Because now the special effects teams look like war memorials. Oh God. So high, I can hear heaven. Nickelback boys. I'm so high, I can hear heaven. Oh, but heaven, no heaven, don't hear me. And they say that a hero will save us. I'm not gonna stand here and wait. That's actually not Nickelback. It's the singer from Nickelback as himself. Watch as they all fly away. Dude, oh my God, this song was, I don't want to say everywhere in 2002, but I think on the soundtrack for this film, like it was plastered on the front, featuring Hero from The Guy. Look what love gave us. I totally forgot about this. But yeah, the soundtrack, Danny Elfman, the soundtrack was not all that noticeable. It was very forgettable. There are some films like Infinity War, just because that comes to mind, that I judge soundtracks largely on whether or not I noticed them during the film. And like Infinity War, I noticed the soundtrack all throughout that film. But like this one, you hear the Spider-Man theme a couple times, but normally you don't even notice that there's a soundtrack. So I would consider the soundtrack not a decent addition to the film, except for Macy Gray singing the song nobody knew about because it wasn't her one-hit wonder. I'm not gonna stand here and wait. John David Ridge created both suits. I'll fly away. Here's the visual effects people. Watching us fly away. Theo Vandernoot. I am Vandernoot. Oh God, what is this? Yo! Early 2000s alternative rock, boys. Oh my God! This isn't Beastie Boys. Oh my God, is this... Hang on. Oh my God. Scroll down Wikipedia. Music. Okay, they say the songs, but they don't tell you the, Oh, well, that's the composition. Music from and inspired by... Here we go. Oh, Sum 41. Oh my God, remember them? Theory of a Dead Man. Danny Elfman. Oh, Aerosmith! That's right! Aerosmith! They did the theme. Spider-Man. Yeah, Chad Kroeger. He's the lead vocalist of Nickelback. But for this soundtrack, he was Chad Kroeger. Not Nickelback. I don't know if there was already a stigma. Oh, there's the fucking song right there. It's right there. Here comes the Spider-Man. Da-na-na, da-na-da. Major League Baseball trademarks. I didn't notice any of those. Yeah, the Flatiron Building. Well, that'll be about it for the first Spider-Man. I will definitely be checking out the second and the third films at some point. But thank you guys for, if you got this far. Or if not, if you're watching this while you're going to bed and you fell asleep, good. That's half of why I do this. I say this is my first time doing a film commentary. Well, it's actually not, but in this. But see ya.